Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I saw No Escape. This is a 2015 action drama thriller film directed by John Eric Dowdle, and it stars Owen Wilson, Lake Bell, Pierce Brosnan, Sterling Jerins, and Claire Gear. In this film, in their new overseas home, I have to hold my phone close to my eyes, I'm having trouble seeing. In their new overseas home, an American family soon finds themselves caught in the middle of a coup, and they frantically look for a safe escape in an environment where foreigners are being immediately executed. So, what did I think of No Escape? Well, uh, yet again, I randomly pick another movie that had some stupid controversy over it. Um, I love this film. I think this is a breathless thriller filled with some really well written characters, as in like very realistically portrayed, um, very realistic dialogue, some pretty solid hard hitting action, and just a breathless pace that it does let you breathe at the right times, but it is also like a movie that by the end of it you are left on the floor basically. But let me get into the cast and then I'll talk about what I mean with controversies. But Owen Wilson plays Jack Dwyer. He's a family man. He works for this water company that is planting their roots in this Asian country. I'll get more into that. Owen Wilson is a mostly comedic actor. This is one of his performances where he's trying to do something a bit different, and I think he really knocked it out of the park. I think he plays this character just straight enough, and he knows exactly when in the movie to give a little bit of relief. The film never goes into straight up comedy. Um, there's a couple scenes where it's there to like calm you down or something, but it's never overstays its welcome, and it never really made me cringe or anything. It was a really good performance from Owen Wilson. Lake Bell plays Annie Dwyer. She's his wife. She's a bit hesitant about this whole thing. She's like, maybe this wasn't the right decision. Lake Bell is an actress that I've seen in a few things. I'd like to see her in more. The last thing I remember her being in was Ghost of New Orleans or Little Murder, which was a Josh Charles, Terrence Howard movie. I don't remember a ton about it. I remember she was good in it though. But um, but yeah, I think she plays this very well. Again, also very naturalistic dialogue. I believe her as this mother character. Pierce Brosnan plays Hammond. He's basically a retired operative, also rock band person, I guess. I forgot where that was said, but in the behind the scenes they said that. But I do really love Pierce Brosnan as an actor. He is my second favorite James Bond, right in front of Sean Connery and behind Roger Moore. I think he plays this character just right. He is a supporting character, so go if you're going into this expecting him to be like with the family the entire movie, that's not going to happen. He's in probably about 20-ish minutes of the movie, but still he's there long enough to establish a character and he does have a bit of an arc. Sterling Jerins plays Lucy, one of the kids. She's fine. Nothing bad about her performance really. And Claire Gear is Bees Dwyer or Beazle, like they have multiple names for her. She's fine too. And the thing about controversy with this film, there are a lot of people that saw this film and said, "Oh, this is racist. This is xenophobic." And to the people who say that, I actually have the definition of that word. The dislike of or prejudice against people from other countries. This film, the reason they are saying that is because it is a travel I've heard people label it as this travel exploitation where somebody goes to another country or another continent or wherever. They go to somewhere they're unfamiliar with. Something happens and they basically have to find a way to get out of the situation they're in while not knowing the language, while not knowing any of the people there. There's another film that also got called xenophobic and racist that I like with Gina Carano in it called In the Blood, which I think took place in the Caribbean. And it seems like people just don't want to admit that shit like this happens because they act like, oh, it's so unrealistic, this movie, the situation they're in where there's a coup and there's Asian people killing white people, killing all foreigners. This type of shit has happened before. Not to say that it's a common occurrence, but that's kind of the point of a movie, is that you can have a kind of not that common occurrence happen in a situation where you can have like, oh, a decent amount of action in the movie. Like Die Hard. It's not like every single day a fucking like skyscraper like in Die Hard, like the Nakatomi building, get taken over by terrorists. Because that's the point of a film, you know? This movie isn't saying based on a true story or anything. It didn't. Even though the inspiration for this film was literally the 2006 Thai coup d'etat, because the director, John Eric Dowdle, and his brother, Drew Dowdle, were going to Thailand and they came in right after a friendly coup d'etat. And they basically, their basis for making this movie was, what if it went bad and our family had to find a way to escape? This shit happens. I have to list all of the coups that have happened in Thailand. There's the April 90th, 1933 Siamese coup d'etat, 47 Thai, 48 Thai, 57, 58, 71, 76, 77, 91, 2006, 2014. Like, do I have to list more? Just because it's an uncommon occurrence doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Just because you say, oh, that's a stereotype, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Things are a stereotype for a reason. Stereotypes are not inherently racist, and at no point is this movie saying all Asian people are violent killers, just in the same way that in Dress to Kill, Silence of the Lambs, Insidious Chapter 2, even though those villains are transgender, at no point does it say all transgender people are bad, and they address that in at least Silence of the Lambs and Dress to Kill. They do address it, and they address a reasonable reason why these people did what they did. They explain these things, and these idiots that review these movies and say, oh, it's demonizing transgender people or gay people or whatever, don't understand that they literally explain it. They say the same thing about Psycho, and there's literally a long, drawn out thing at the end talking about why the killer did what he did. And that's part of why I can't fully get behind the original Psycho, and that's why I love Psycho 2 the most. And in the fourth Psycho, you actually get a backstory to him that explains even further what's going on in an interesting way. A TV movie. But nobody wants to watch that because Psycho is this fucking sacred cow that no one can ever say anything bad about because it's Alfred Hitchcock. I understand. Hitchcock was an amazing director. Saying that Psycho is the best just because it's old, I'd say is very small-minded. And saying that none of the sequels could ever measure up to it when you haven't watched them. You haven't. Anyways, this film is not racist. From what I've seen, there are reviews on Letterboxd talking about that there's Cambodian lettering that is upside down on the shields of the riot police in this one scene. So apparently they didn't show the film in Cambodia. Okay, that makes sense. Kinda. To be honest, it does seem a little bit wienery to do that, but then again, this is not a huge budget movie where they can just like go to every single country that they're filming in, which they filmed this in Thailand. So I'm guessing it's meant to be Thailand. They never explicitly say, and I can kind of understand why they would do that. And it's not a racist decision. It's specifically because idiots like these that hate this movie just because they think it's racist or xenophobic say that, oh, they said that so that they wouldn't have because they hate all Asian people. That's not fucking true. You're insinuating so fucking much. Like it it's like the people who are like, "Oh, that guy looks creepy, therefore he's a pedophile." Oh, so you looked at someone, they weren't attractive to you, so they must be a pedophile or they must be a molester or something like that. Do you see how stupid that sounds? Do you not understand how dumb you sound when you say shit like that? Yes, when you look at someone, you assume shit, but saying that publicly to belittle people who actually made a movie instead of actually giving, I don't know, constructive criticism of, oh, maybe you could add a little backstory to the natives, which they do. Everybody is going to ignore the Pierce Brosnan scene of him explaining what the fuck is going on, which actually makes a bit of sense. But I guess fuck it. We're just going to ignore everything that is against our worldview. Ugh. I'm tired of shit like this. These people keep acting like, oh, Americans go to another country, they make a movie where some people from that country are the villains. Oh, Die Hard must be racist. Die Hard 2, every single Die Hard movie. Die Hard 5 must be racist against Russians because there's a Russian villain. You know what happens in other countries? People from other countries than them are the villains too. Are they therefore racist? I'd say so. If you're going to consider these movies racist, yeah, don't act like other countries can't be racist because there are way more racist countries than just America. You want to talk about slavery? You want to talk about slavery to me? My fucking ancestors were slaves. Irish slaves. But people don't want to teach that in school because that doesn't fit with the worldview of, oh, um, oh, only black people were slaves, that whole thing. No. You have Mexican slaves, you have Irish slaves, you have um I guess not. Well, you also have Japanese slaves in Canada from back in the day. Don't want to talk about those? No. Uh, and to act like racism doesn't exist in other countries is just full on stupid. I'm sorry, you're stupid. If you legitimately say that only white people can be racist or Americans can only be racist, you're an idiot. I'm just saying it because it's true. That's not possible. Racism is literally prejudice against someone because of their skin color. If you were a black person who doesn't like a white person because of their skin color, then you're racist. It doesn't matter what reasoning you have, it's still racist. But then again, let me get to the actual fucking movie. The whole thing in this movie is, again, one thing I will say about this movie. It doesn't have the most story I've ever seen in a film. It does kind of have the first 20 minutes, which is set up for the next hour and 20 minutes, which I have no real problem with a movie like this because a lot of movies of this style do the same thing, and it really works for this one. They set it up, they're telling the story as they go along, and it works. And it really does it really does show that these directors know what they're really do know what they're doing when it comes to suspense, action, and everything. These directors, I've seen one of their other films, um, As Above, So Below, which I don't love like I wanted to, but I do still think it is an interesting at least um found footage film. It's not as scary as I wanted it to be. I wish it was a bit scarier, but a very interesting location and an actually interesting ending for one of these types of movies. Um, but No Escape is their latest film, and I hope to God that they haven't stopped making films indefinitely, because the latest things that they've done were Waco and apparently Waco the Aftermath, but I don't even know if this has been released. It doesn't list a release date, but yeah. I hope they do more movies because I do think that John Eric Dowdle and Drew Dowdle are a very good team. Usually John Eric Dowdle directing and Drew um, being the writer or a co-director. And with a film like this, I think the best way to go in is expect a bit of a political thriller with it. Like they say in the behind the scenes, it's a bit of a family drama mixed with an action thriller. So you get the honest emotion, you get the very naturalistic dialogue, you get again Owen Wilson turning in a bit of a different performance than usual, and you get legitimately feels it legitimately feels a lot more realistic than a lot of action movies you see or thrillers that you see. The dialogue, you have people cutting off others' dialogue, and it actually feels natural for once because there's a lot of movies that can't get that right. Um, where like a character's talking to other characters and then somebody tries to cut them off. For the most part, that comes off really weird and clunky, and here it doesn't. I think not Pierce Brosnan. Owen Wilson and Lake Bell really work together as a couple. I believe them. I believe them being the parents of these kids. Um, Even if the kids aren't the most amazing actors, they still work. At no point was I annoyed with them. There were legitimate people in the Letterboxd reviews saying like, "Oh, I wanted the pirates to kill these kids." Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, y'all want to call this movie racist and then say I want the pirates to kill the little kids, the innocent little kids that haven't done anything wrong? Okay. Yeah, you seem like a sane human being. But again, if you're looking too far into something like this, of course you're gonna find something to hate. If you're looking for something, you're gonna find it. Just like if you're looking for someone to say something bad about you, it's possibly gonna happen, which is why it's best to be kind of blissfully unaware of your surroundings at times. But with a film like this, it again, this film was made for $5 million. Yes, should they have done a little bit more research on certain letterings and whatever, and um, certain cultural things about this place that they're filming in, which is Thailand, which I'm guessing is where it's supposed to take place, but they never really say. And I can completely understand them not wanting to say a specific place because you're gonna get people from that place, and you're gonna get a bunch of white liberals that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna defend these people because apparently they can't defend themselves." Wow, who's the real racist here? Um, you're gonna get a bunch of those people who will be like, "Oh, you made the movie about Thailand and there's evil people in Thailand? You're racist. You hate all Thai people. Oh, you made it in China? You're racist against the Chinese." You're gonna get that. So, what should say is directors, John Eric Dowdle and Drew Dowdle, don't let these assholes get you down because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They never made a movie, yet they're trying to tell you how to make a movie. And y'all have made multiple movies that are well loved, like Poughkeepsie Tapes and As Above, So Below. So, really, what I want to say is yes, should they have researched this stuff better? Yes. Then again, there's also the problem of money. This is a movie where literally every cent counts, where you can't waste anything because $5 million is not a lot of money. Once you get done paying the actors, there's probably not a ton left of that. I don't know how much each actor was paid. I have no way of knowing that. But with a film like this, where there's some pretty impressive shit that happens in this movie, and it's also one of those movies where I can't exactly point out how they did something like that. Like there's a bit where a helicopter goes to the top of this hotel that they're at, where all the survivors are at. Just a fucking helicopter comes in, turns, and then this one guy's just mowing down people with his AK-47, and I'm like, damn, this looks pretty good. And then the helicopter's back rotor or whatever gets stuck in some wire and then crashes and explodes, and I was like, damn, that looked really good. And there's a bit where truck tips over later. There's the bit where he throws them from the top of one building to the top of another building. There's a bit where a fucking tank points up to this office building that they're in and blows a hole in the side of the building, and it looks really good. Like, there's a lot of very impressive shit happening in this movie, action wise and just production value wise, because this doesn't look like a cheap movie. It looks very professionally made. And yeah, like I really don't understand what there is to hate here. It really is annoying to hear all this discourse. Yeah, if you're legitimately trying to, if you were a reviewer legitimately trying to say, okay, this is what you could do to improve it, then yes, you're doing your job. If you're one of those people who's just like, this movie sucks because it's racist, you're not saying anything. You're just throwing out accusations without any actual evidence to back it up. Saying this movie's racist because it makes Cambodian, Thai, other Asian shit together. No. You say, oh, if you want to fix certain parts, do this and this and this. Maybe that. That's cool. But yeah, I love the film and I hope other people will give it a bit more of a chance. But yeah, that was my review of No Escape. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put those down there as well. And Movie Reviewer Next Door, out.